name is Eli Wolcott. I was born and raised on a farm outside of Paonia, Colorado. I've spent the last 5 years working extensively on land use issues in Delta County. I'm here as part of the Delta County Coalition, a nonpartisan organization established by residents of Delta County concerned about the county land use code, land use freedoms, and protecting the rural quality of life and agriculture in Delta County. We invite you to learn more about our organization and see details of our posted work at DeltaCountyCoalition.org. We thank you, commissioners, and urge you in the strongest terms to follow through on your public announcement on February 7th to vote no on the proposed Planning Commission's land use code revisions under consideration in tonight's hearing, and to table any land use code review by the Planning Commission until the issues and concerns raised across the county can first be addressed. Please take the time to get this right and develop a code that really works for Delta County and the farmers, ranchers, business owners, and residents that live here. The draft code in its current form would be detrimental and threaten the livelihoods and way of life for large numbers of county residents. I would also like to thank all three commissioners here tonight, and especially Commissioner Supes, for your efforts to protect property rights, support county farmers and ranchers, and work to prevent harmful overregulation in Delta County. We have submitted detailed constructive comments with specific issues, page citations, and full details in writing via email, and I have printed copies here for you tonight. Here's a brief overview of the comments on the Planning Commission's document, which we'll read over with a few of our members joining us. Page 33 changes allowed by right to require zoning permits for almost 50 types of land uses. This is perhaps the most controversial change in the proposed revision and would impact many landowners' rights that were protected as exempt from regulation for 2 decades under the specific development regulations, and were promised to be enshrined as allowed by right under the 2021 Land Use Code and on the existing county website. This is not just semantic, as the change imposes 3+ chapters of standards, fines, and other issues on these issues, and challenges the basic culture of freedom in Delta County versus asking government permission for basic activities. On Table 2B, it would require permits and restrictions for small businesses, including light industry without retail, where they are currently allowed by right. Page 23 removes exemptions from approval language for the remaining allowed by right uses, mostly agriculture, even after the almost 50 uses above are changed to zoning permits. This is an affront to the enshrined allowed by right category as a whole. Page 91 would require that all new homes be connected to municipal water or small water company water taps, even if they already have a permitted well, spring, or other water rights. These are just a few of the items that we've submitted. We thank you again for your time and attention to addressing these critical issues and for protecting our Delta County communities by voting no on the passage of the February 8th draft of the Land Use Code, and really taking the time to develop land use codes that are right for Delta County and its residents.
Right on.
Hello, my name is Darlene Green, and I live in Hotchkiss. I'm part of the Delta County Coalition, which is a civic partnership association, and I'm going to continue with the issues with this current draft that Eli left off. On page 42, the cottage industry and home businesses, it contains many arbitrary additional restrictions on cottage industry and home businesses instead of simple outcome-based or perform-based standards. On page 39, under RV restrictions, it imposes unnecessary new restrictions on RV category dwellings, including reducing the amount of time someone can live in an RV without full utilities, which includes tiny homes, yurts, in some cases mobile homes. This would likely have a negative impact on affordable housing. On page 34 and 144, the building codes and state codes, it would have the county duplicate state electrical and plumbing permits and unnecessary double red tape and fees. On page 144, it includes a mention of possible future building codes. On page 117, no additional development of grandfathered hauled water. That would prevent properties with grandfathered hauled water rights from further development or additional homes without obtaining a municipal water tap for the original house. Page 18 permits voided water later for county permits voided later for county mistakes. The current language could result in an approved permit later being voided because of mistakes on the part of the county and either forced removal of a previously permitted home or permitted use, or expensive lawsuits for landowner and taxpayers. Page 198, active compliance would change the county's longstanding signed complaint-based compliance system to one of active compliance. which would allow for county officials, employees, and compliance officers to proactively drive around the county to investigate and pursue violations without a complaint being filed, or for the compliance officer to write up his own complaints, which is just proactive compliance under a different name. This particular last one could be very problematic throughout this county. We would like to thank you again for your time and attention to addressing these critical issues and for protecting our Delta County communities by voting no on the passage of the February 8th draft of the Land Use Code and really taking the time to develop land use that is right for Delta County and its residents. Thank you.
I'd like to call up Lloyd Lee-Tran and Marilyn Lee-Tran, as well as Robert Baxley. If you'd come down to the front and populate the 3 chairs to the left, please.
My name is Adam Pittman from Paonia, and I'm just going to pick up on the sheet that we left off here. Page 195 finds the proposed revision lacks provisions to ensure proper due process, warnings, appeals, or oversight. Office procedures outline some of these items, but would change at any moment and need to be codified and require public hearing prior to change. Page 196, county immunity, adds a non-liability clause that claims immunity for Delta County, its employees, and officials from being responsible or liable. Many issues around government liability are already covered by the State Colorado Government and Immunity Act, and we feel in this addition unnecessarily removes the need for professional responsibility. Further, qualified immunity was specifically repealed in the state of Colorado on June 21st, 2020 by Senate Bill SB 217 that was created to prevent abuses by government and protect citizens' rights guaranteed by the Colorado Constitution's Bill of Rights. Page 39, special events greatly reduced. Reduces the allowed number of days for special events from 75 days per year to 3 total events. The max duration of an event from 30 days to 7, and reduces the number of attendees from 500 to 150. This would greatly impact the public's right to gather and adversely affect tourism and important economic income to the county. There does not seem to be any documented complaints or rationale for this proposed change. Page 47 through 51, additional dwellings. Permits would require zoning permits for all additional dwelling. Additional residences or communal living contains language which would restrict land uses based on as yet undefined density restrictions. Fire hydrant requirements in rural areas would require fire hydrants for additional dwellings without any exceptions, or provide for rural areas or water companies without adequate capacity for fire hydrants, effectively banning additional dwellings in these cases. Additional dwelling compliance introduces confusing limits and extra regulations on additional dwellings. Farm worker housing water requirements would require municipal water taps only for farm dweller housing, farm worker housing, disqualifying well, spring, or other water rights. I just ask that you please honor the 2021 code as Carl suggested in his last opportunity. Thank you.
Here in Delta, and I'm continuing the comments from the Delta County Coalition. ADU limits would limit accessory dwelling units to 1 per lot, no matter the size or use of the lot, and restricts them to 1,000 square feet. Hurts availability of affordable housing here in Delta County when we need it most. Residential uses introduces additional limits to residential changes, such as duplexing of a basement or other changes currently allowed by right. Traffic studies potentially requires a costly traffic study if building a new house and exactly which standards are applicable is unclear. Variances. Greatly restricts variances to the point that exceedingly few people would qualify for one, even though the zoning maps are so erroneous that it led to more than 50 residents applying for variances in 2022. Page 65, cell towers. Allows many wireless cell tower activities, including 5G, with fairly lax rules. We recommend including more community participation in such decisions and requiring public hearings for all new wireless towers. We recommend adding a provision that no members of the Board of Adjustment may be members of the Planning Commission at the same time to assure checks and balances and due process. Chapter 9. 4B and 5B, appeals for landowners. Limits appeals to a 10 or 15-day deadline from 30 days, which would negatively impact due process for landowners when dealing with compliance issues or applications for new projects on their land. Page 30, lien and foreclosure. Gives the Director of Planning and Community Development the ability to place a lien on property, perfect lien, and foreclose. Page 138, high impact use notice. Reduces the requirements for issuing notices to residents near high impact industrial commercial projects and land variances. We recommend residences within a minimum of 1,000 feet of high impact projects, such as those with extensive dust, noise, light, hazardous materials, etc., to be notified to allow for feedback from the community. This was the practice in place between 2001 and 2021 in the county and removed with the 2021 code. Chapter 13, enforcements and remedies. Criminal prosecution for civil infractions for individual private property owners. Retroactive fines that could span back for years apply each day as a separate fine or offense, and liens and foreclosures if fines are not paid. I thank you for hearing our comments, and I urge you to reject the PC certified copy. Thank you.
I'd like to call Aiden Lehigh, Marta Sanchez, and James McCain here to the right.
My name is Michelle Jeffers, and I am part of the Delta County Coalition, and I will continue on. Page 197, manufactured housing violations and remedies would make homeowners liable for fees and penalties as the result of negligence on the part of a professional mover. Requires a new moving permit to move an RV-style tiny house on wheels. Page 47, manufactured housing requirements. Duplicates state rules and regulations concerning mobile homes and inspections. This is burdensome and duplicates the extensive 80-page already mandated in the state inspection process. Page 83, street plan review would require county review for 35-plus acre subdivisions, which have been allowed by right and exempt under state law. Page 171, cluster development allows farmers to develop their land and also protect irrigated ground, but newly proposed severe restrictions to 1 acre building envelope contradict state law and would mean most farmers wouldn't be able to use this approach and would be prevented or severely limit options for developing their land on retirement or in case of a hardship. Page 173, grandfathering severely limited. Could result in grandfathered non-conforming use of property being removed if discontinued for 12 months, even if as the result of emergency circumstances. Leave your house for 12 months due to illness, family emergency, sabbatical, or other hardship. You could be forced to take your grandfathered house down if it doesn't meet the latest setback or other new requirements. The existing separate junk and rubbish ordinance already adequately address all the needs for cleanup and trash in Delta County. And the LUC revision is not needed for and does not need to address this issue. We thank you again for your time and attention to addressing these critical issues and for protecting our Delta County communities by voting no on the passage of the February 8th draft of the Land Use Code, and really taking the time to develop land use that is right for Delta County and its residents.